Hello everyone and welcome to Capes, Cowls Masks, the show where we uncover the world of soups and science fiction. I'm your host, Jake Hart. I'm a podcaster, a sound designer, and a writer for the Fresh Take Hub. And as always, I'm joined by my fellow co-host.
Hi everyone, it's Tom Gapper here, aspiring writer, podcaster, and your resident comic book shogun. Very happy to be here this week.
Yes, I am also very happy to be here this week. After our huge episode last week, Tom, where we covered all the Marvel Studios announcements from Disney Plus Day, and of course, the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. Phew, that one was quite the week. And I'm glad that this week, even though we got news to talk about, it's a bit lighter, I think, in the news front.
It's a bit breezier. We can get through it. And I mean, it's sad that Dave isn't here, but also we can keep things just a bit succinct. Dave, I'm sorry. I love you.
It's going to become, I swear it's going to become a thing now. Like people are just going to pull him up on it and be like,
yeah, well, I mean, the Kung Fu thing is gone, so we need a new...
We need something else.
We need something else. So this is it. He talks to
Derek Arsehole will return.
Oh, we've created a new supervillain.
This is his villain origin story for Dave. This is how.
Well, I'm glad I was a part of it.
So, this is going to be our weekly news show, breaking down and discussing the biggest stories that have hit the newsstand. See, Sonny? But we also have a pull list at the end from Tom, the comic book shogun. But before we get into all of that, how has your week been, Tom? What have you been getting up to?
Mostly just work and reading. I've been doing like a big Crisis to Crisis read through of DC. I'm actually in the run up to Infinite Crisis at the moment. Blitzed through a loads of things over the past few evenings. I just basically said to my gaming console, no, I will not switch you on today. I will simply just read for hours on end. Which has actually been good because I did take a little break from reading comics and I was just reading books. So it's nice to actually dive back into my favorite medium. And just loving all the Countdown to Infinite Crisis stuff and can't wait for the events. But mostly I'm just looking forward to when I can go past Infinite Crisis and go to Sinestro Cold Wars for my boy Hal Jordan. So that's what I've been up to anyway.
That's nice. Getting your Green Lantern going on there. For myself, I've had a week off work this week, so it's been pretty chill. Celebrated my birthday as well, which was pretty relaxed birthday on the grand scheme of things. We basically decided, you know what, let's just save our money and just have a day out in London next month when we go to see the Matrix Resurrections and the BFI IMAX. So that's the thing. That's basically my birthday celebration right there.
That's a very good birthday celebration, to be fair.
Right. So, yeah, I can't wait for that. So we just thought I'll just take it easy this year. But at the same time, still really nice just to spend time with friends, family, get some nice gifts. And thank you, everyone who wished me a happy birthday as well. So last year of the 20s, Tom, this is it. After this, I'm on to the big 3-0.
I got one more year after this, and then I'm on to the big 3-0. So
it's Dave's big 3-0 in a couple of weeks.
It is. Ooh.
I was talking to him about that, actually. He feels kind of sad that he's like the oldest one. Because I think he's like the oldest one in his other friendship group as well. So
yeah, which is weird because he looks the youngest.
He does, right? He hasn't got an inch of facial hair on the boy.
Yeah, it's very smooth skin. Like a baby's bum.
I wonder if he'll appreciate that.
Well, he's not here, so you know what?
You will like it, Dave.
He can take it. He's got a baby's ass for a face.
Right. I think we should get into the show now before this veers off into something I'm not quite sure about. So let's get into the news then.
Tear up page 1, run that photo instead.
Headline?
Spider-Man, hero or menace? Exclusive Daily Bugle photo.
All right, so our first topic of the week, and just if you thought that maybe after last week there'd be no more Marvel news, you were wrong, because the Marvel hype train continues to move forward as the Hollywood Reporter has announced that Delroy Lindo has joined Mahershala Ali in the upcoming film Blade. The film is set to be directed by Bassam Tariq, who is known for his work behind the camera on the rap drama Mogul Mowgli. The MCU's take on the vampire hunter is being penned by Stacey Osei Kuffour, who served as story editor and has a credited episode on the HBO hit Watchmen. So really, Blade is shaping up quite nicely at the moment. I mean, I've actually seen a few people on Twitter say this is their most anticipated Marvel film, which when you consider what Marvel have got coming out, it's quite a big deal. And, you know, you can't help but see why. It's got a great crew behind it. I think it's in very good hands. Delroy Lindo is going to be in it. We've got a few speculations on who he might be, but I'm sure, Jake, do you want to maybe dive into that and give us your thoughts on this casting news and just what you think of how Blade is shaping up in general?
Oh, I absolutely love this casting news. As soon as it was announced, you got the biggest cheer from me because I love Delroy Lindo. I think he's a wonderful actor. And I think we're seeing a bit of a Delroy Lindo renaissance at the minute because recently he was in Spike Lee's Da 5 Bloods with the late Chadwick Boseman. He was also in the recent Netflix film The Harder They Fall. And he was a huge actor back in the 90s. Like, he did some really good films like Malcolm X, Get Shorty. Those are probably the two that I know him most for. So I think he's a wonderful actor. It's great to see him back in the game. And for him to do a comic book movie now, that's wonderful, you know? And Blade, of all things, I'm just like, that makes just so much sense. And as for the rest of the crew, yeah, I mean, I haven't seen Mogul Mowgli. It's on my watch list. It's been on my watch list for ages just because I love Riz Ahmed and anything he does. So I'm definitely going to check that out. And if anyone knows me, knows that I think the HBO show Watchmen is probably the finest bit of superhero television that's ever been put to screen, I think. I think it's just incredible what they did with that show. So if Stacey Osei-Kufa is penning the script, then I'm like, you know what? This film's got it covered. I don't know if it's my most anticipated project coming from Marvel. It's definitely my most intriguing, just because how are they going to do Blade in the MCU? Do you know what I mean? Because when I think of Blade, unfortunately, I don't really think of the comics. I think of the films that we got with Wesley Snipes. Like, when I think of Blade, that's my Blade. I love those movies to my heart. I still stand that the opening scene of the first Blade is the best opening scene in any comic book movie, and I will die on that hill fighting for that. So yeah, I'm so attached to those films. I'm just so intrigued to what they're going to do with it in the MCU. Because Kevin Feige's already also confirmed it's not going to be R-rated. His words, and yes, it will be PG-13, and you'll like it. His words, not mine. So, I don't know, man. It'll be really, really interesting to see how they do it. But for me personally, and my interest and my taste, when I think of Blade killing vampires, I don't know, man. It doesn't have to be a gore fest, but I feel as if, there needs to be a bit of blood splatter, I feel, if you're dealing with vampires and this guy who's killing vampires, shooting them with stakes and slicing them up with swords. I feel as if you need to be a bit edgy, but at the same time, you look at films like The Dark Knight, where you do get films that push the boundaries up to a certain point. You go, oh, okay, now we need to restrain it here. So it can be done. It just has to be done tastefully, I think. As for the casting of who he's going to be playing, I think I just feel as it makes perfect sense that he'll be Whistler. Like, granted, he is a Caucasian guy in the comics and the original films, but fuck it, who cares? Like, it's 2021, and it doesn't really matter whether the character's white or black. So, I don't know. And as soon as I saw it, Delroy Lindo is in the Blade, I'm like, well, it's got to be Whistler, surely.
I reckon I'd agree with you that's where I'm landing on, and ever since you said it, basically, Jake was very excited in the chat when this news dropped. And I was so happy for him. But yeah, I think it makes a certain amount of sense, and I would love to see him act opposite Mahershala Ali and that sort of dynamic. I think that would be a really cool dynamic. Just generally, I think I'm in agreement with you. It's not my most anticipated Marvel movie. I think that currently lies with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange at the moment. But I agree with you that I'm definitely very, very interested in where this film is going and where that corner of the MCU is going. because, well, spoiler alert, shut off now for about 10 seconds if you haven't seen Eternals. But if you've seen the post-credit scene of Eternals, that right there is setting up some interesting things. I believe I gave Jake a pitch before about like what if this could lead into a Midnight Suns movie where we get Moon Knights, we get Black Knight, we get Blades, maybe fucking throwing Ghost Rider and Werewolf by Night in there. Holy shit, that would be a hell of a film or a series or anything. That's something anyway. So definitely very intrigued to see like where this movie is going. Obviously, it's going to be a while before we start seeing any, pics or set photos or trailers even. But my God, I think when we do, it's definitely going to be something that grabs people's attention. Though I'm kind of with you that like it is a bit disheartening that it's only going to be PG-13. I do think that, as you said, they can push the boundaries and like done right, I think it can still be pure blade killing vampires, that people want. But I don't know. I guess it's because it's still under the Disney branch. They're still not quite ready to take those risks yet. So I guess we'll see. Maybe like people will come out of this film like saying, "Oh, I loved it, but I really wish it was R-rated." And Marvel will go, "Well, fine then. The sequel will be R-rated, and all the Midnight Sun shit will be R-rated. Are you happy now?" We can only hope.
We can only hope. Yeah. Again, spoilers for Eternals. If you're listening to the show, you've probably already watched Eternals. But the post-credit scene, I've been thinking about that recently as well. And you know what, Tom? I'm actually upset.
Oh.
Because I think if you're going to introduce Blade, just fucking do it. Do you know what I mean? I just feel... Imagine the average Joe who's not caught up in all the news just hears this voice in the background.
Mm.
Who the fuck is that? At least if you show Mahershala Ali, it gives people go, oh, it's Mahershala Ali, and they know who he is, and then they will discover, oh, Blade and all that sort of stuff. But the fact that it's just a voice, I don't know. I just feel, and the thing is, it took Chloe Zhao to publicly come out and say, yes, that is Blade. Like, it took a few moments for people to go, oh, who is that? Is that this? Is that this? And I'm just like, you know what? You should have just fucking shown him.
I am in agreement with you in that, like, I'm thinking just, you may as well have just shown him. I think the only reason I can think that they didn't is because the first post-credit scene, spoiler.
Oh, this one was spoiled ages ago.
Yeah, but I think because like the setup of that mid-credit scene was the whole like, who's this mystery character? Oh my God, it's Harry Styles' Eros, brother of Thanos. So I think maybe they thought that if they doubled up on the like, oh, who's this? Oh my God, look, it's Blade thing. Like maybe they thought like just by doing the voice it would be a bit more subtle or whatever. Or maybe they were hoping to like just make it a bit more mysterious. But then if they were hoping to make it a bit more mysterious, maybe then don't tell us publicly whose voice it was at the end.
Yeah, have us keep guessing.
Yeah,
guessing,
Like it took me a second, but I think like after hearing the voice in the cinema, I was like thinking to myself, could that have been Blade? Because I know Mahershala Ali's voice, but like it wasn't instantaneous where I was just like, that's definitely Mahershala Ali and Blade. But I was kind of sat there going like, is it that? But I feel like if Chloe Zhao came out and was just like, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, you'll have to find out in a future movie, I'd probably still be here now going, I'm sure it was, but I'm not sure. It could be someone else entirely. So, yeah.
Unless you're like, oh, that's Mahershala Ali's voice. I know that voice.
Yeah. Because like, I know his voice, but like, as I said, I don't know his voice. So I was just kind of like, I'm sure it is, but I don't know. That is as turned as it was. But yeah, so Blade, it's looking to be, do we have any word on like when that's coming out? Next year, maybe 2023, probably early 23. Who knows?
You know what? I'm gonna take a stab in the dark here.
Go on.
And say October 2023.
Okay, you've heard it here first, folks. Halloween 2023. That actually sounds about right.
They haven't. Actually, I have a list. Bear with me. I've got the list of all the upcoming superhero stuff. 2023. So yeah, Marvel. The the last announcement they made in terms of the schedule is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. That comes out July 2023. So we don't know anything past that date.
Definitely get Blades before the end of that year then.
Yeah, I'm thinking that. Especially because if you do tease him in Eternals like that, I'm just like, well, he's got to be round the corner then soon, surely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they definitely said he was going to be Phase 4, so you'd hope he'd be out by 2023 anyway. But yeah, I guess we'll wait and see. We'll obviously keep you updated on any more news to do with this. But Jake, do you want to talk about our next story? Most exciting
We'll talk about our next story. This is a rough one. I'll leave.
Jesus Christ.
I'm turning into Rob. Sorry, Rob. So this is the first trailer for DC League of Super Pets, and I completely forgot this was coming out. And I remember, last month when we discussed DC fandom, we got the little clip, and they said full trailer next month. I'm like, well, why didn't you just show it now? But whatever. So we got the full trailer shows us all the good boys getting ready to save the world. Obviously, Crypto is voiced by The Rock. Ace is voiced by Kevin Hart. And also announced Superman will be voiced by John Krasinski. So that was a nice little touch to that. This is going to be written by Jared Stern and John Whittingham, who have also co-written the Lego Batman movie and the Lego Ninjago movie. One of those great, one of those not so much. This time, however, Stern has decided to go the extra mile, make his feature film directorial debut with this film, and he's sharing the director credit with Sam Levine, who is also directing as a feature film director after helming several episodes of Pen Zero. This film is slated to come out May 20th, 2022. So, Tom, we got the full trailer. What are your first reactions for this? We've been a bit, unsure about this project from the beginning.
I'll be honest. Watching the trailer didn't do much to change my mind so much. I mean, it's, as we've kept saying, this is clearly not something that's marketed to us. This is not really for us. But I was still hoping that maybe it would be done in a way that, it is actually, anyone can just hop in and enjoy it, but it is primarily a children's thing. It does seem to just, the humor wasn't landing for me, I've got to be honest. Throughout the trailer, I was mostly stone-faced. The only brief moment I laughed during the trailer is when I had the slow realization of just, so Lex Luthor is, executed the perfect plan to take down Superman of the Justice League, and he's going to be undone by a group of animals. That situation is hilarious to me just because I can imagine how much that would break Lex. But, just from seeing the humor in the trailer, I'm not confident that the humor of that moment is going to land when it happens in the film. Slightly disappointed as well because when I heard we were getting Ace in the film, I was figuring it was Ace the Bat Hound. But from the trailer, it seems like it's just a bunch of random animals who randomly get power because of reasons. Okay, there was another bit that made me laugh, which was when the squirrel was just like, oh, I'm the only one who didn't have powers. And then he starts shooting off lightning everywhere. And I was just, but then again, just the aftermath of that, I was just it would have been ripe for just a small comedic comment. But the fact that they kind of just played it was just I was okay, no, you've ruined this joke for me as well. So yeah, just generally, I think, kids are going to love it. It's Kevin Hart and The Rock. They are hilarious together. So I imagine there's going to be some great comedic moments between those two characters in the film. But this is probably something I'll only watch out of obligation. So it's not to say that this is going to be bad, but I think for us, it's not going to be something that's really for us. So we're probably not going to like it, and we're probably going to have a lot of issues with it. But as long as the kids are enjoying it, who gives a shit? Although the peeing scene was just too much. It's just too much. Just
Yeah, I mean, I went into this trailer very similar to you being okay, I know what this film is for. I know who this film is for. I know what the target audience is for. But at the same time, you have to still construct intellectual storytelling for children, even if they are children. which is why I always really praise Pixar. You know, for example, sure, they've had a couple of misses, but on a whole, you know, they make really compelling stories, which children absolutely love because it's got all the quirkiness and the weird stuff that kids love, but it's got the nuance and the depth that adults can relate to. So that's why I think they have found that perfect balance. Now, with this one, I went into thinking, okay, I know what this film's about, and I'm watching it. I actually have to say I'm a bit more positive about it after seeing this trailer compared to the one we saw at DC Fandom, which was just very awkward and like forced humor. While this one, I was like, okay, you know, I'm buying the humor more. A couple of times it did make me chuckle. It was good to see like the actual Justice League, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman are all there. So it's good to see, because I was thinking, oh, is this just going to be all pets all the time? And like you don't really see the humans or something like that, you know, sort of like they do in Secret Life of Pets. But no, it looks like there's the characters are there. You know, they got John Krasinski in to play Superman. It looks like the first bit of the film is just going to be them two, like on their journey before the plot sort of kicks in. So yeah, I'm more optimistic about it. But at the same time, there is stuff that I'm a bit like, oh, this is not landing at all. And this is where it goes back to what my Pixar analysis comparison, where it doesn't matter that you're making this for kids. You still need to make it compelling and interesting and good storytelling and good humor as well. And there's just elements about it that I'm like, this seems less like the Lego Batman movie and more like Secret Life of Pets, which is not a terrible film, but it's not great either. It doesn't match up to the Lego movies and what Pixar are doing and stuff like that in terms of animated features. So that's why I have a bit hesitation about it. And when I found out as well that this is both the director's first directorial debut, granted, there's plenty of directors that absolutely knock it out the park on their first go, but this is also quite a big project for your first go. You know, a DC project, Warner Brothers project in theaters. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm it's way too early to judge, but it does raise alarm bells for me. The fact that it's their directorial debut. And like I said, I love Lego Batman, but the Lego Ninjago movie as well just wasn't that good at all, for the reasons of the script and stuff like that. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm going to go see it, but it's not like, oh, I can't wait to see this animated film. Do you know what I mean? It's more out of obligation, much as you.
Yes. Are we going to review it for the show even? I think. Should we?
We'll see. Maybe we'll get Michael G on for that.
Yes, because he was so excited for this.
He was very excited for this.
I think just to sort of like round off my thoughts, like I think I do agree with you that it was actually nice to see some humans in the trailer, and knowing that it isn't just going to be, I don't know, pets versus pets or whatever horrors I conjured up in my mind prior. I think Luthor does look quite menacing in it, and I do like the idea of him, like, you know, taking out the Justice League, and now like his like Superman's dog is like the only thing standing between Luthor and world domination. I think it does have the potential to like have some sophisticated storytelling in there. I'm just not confident based on what I've seen that it is going to have that. And I think like you have to look at like Pixar, or even look at like this. I know it's a different animation style and it was a series, but even look at stuff like Avatar: The Last Airbender for like straddling that line between like essentially being for kids, but also being, you know, engaging and having like these sophisticated plot lines to treat the kids with respect and like treat them like they can understand this, but also it's stuff that like we as adults can look at and still take lessons from. I mean, clearly this probably wasn't their aim when they just went, right, so we're going to have a film where The Rock and Kevin Hart are dogs, and The Rock's going to sit on Superman's face at some point and Kevin Hart will pee.
For a long time.
For a long time. So they probably weren't also thinking, so how do we fit in like lessons about the morality of war? But yeah, I don't know. I think it is something I'll see out of obligation. But if you were like maybe listeners like hoping to hear some news on this that would make you think this is going to be some great piece of sophisticated filmmaking, probably not.
Probably not.
But if you got kids, take them to it. They'll love it.
Yeah, it could be a fun now. And I will say as well, the animation does look great.
Yeah, it does look very cool.
You can see Warner Brothers, they've put the money behind it. They're like, we want to be up there with Pixar and the Lego movies as like, DC can also make animated films for the cinema. Because then I think they do need to make that transition from the direct-to-video animated films to the cinema. So, because there's plenty of stories there to tell with DC characters.
There are plenty of stories to tell, and not all of them need to be Batman. This is like what we're learning.
And also, not all of them need to be animals.
Yes, yes, that is also true.
But we'll see. That comes out, like I said, May 20th, 2022. So, where are we off to next, Tom?
We got some big news from a galaxy far, far away. And so if you were maybe starved for news on the Ahsoka series, well, have no fear, because we've got some casting news for you. And that's Natasha Liu Bordizzo has been cast as Sabine Wren in the Disney Plus series. So her filmography includes Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Sword of Destiny, and The Society. And she's been cast in the lead role in Disney Plus's Ahsoka, according to an exclusive from Deadline. Bordizzo will likely be portraying Sabine Wren, a character from the Star Wars Rebels animated series and longtime fan favorite. So it's aiming to start production in March of 2022. This, I think, it's both news that was expected, like we expected to get Sabine Wren, given where we left off at Rebels, but also this is kind of huge that we've got this confirmation that, yes, we are getting Sabine Wren. So I'm personally very happy. I was a huge, huge fan of the character. She was one of my favorite characters from Rebels. And ever since the end of Rebels, I have been asking the question, where the hell is Sabine and Ahsoka? And where the hell is Ezran? Please tell me where Ezran is. Is he okay? Are the whales okay? So hopefully this is like pointing us in the direction of this is what the Ahsoka series is about, is answering these questions now. We've had Thrawn teased. We've now got confirmation that Sabine's going to be in it. We've essentially had confirmation that like Ezra is also going to be appearing within the Star Wars universe, though I don't know if anything official has come out saying about the casting, but I think it was like a Rosario Dawson Instagram story that's led us to believe this is happening. So I'm very excited about this. The actress is she's an up and comer, but she's got a very exciting like filmography as it is, and I think a bright future. It's a character that I'm absolutely ecstatic to see in live action. But Jake, what do you think about this news? Are you as happy as I am?
Oh, I'm over the moon. Over the moon about this. I will say just up top that no, nothing's been confirmed, and even this story technically is not confirmed. It has not been come out by Disney, Lucasfilm, or anyone involved with the Ahsoka project. This is a scoop, you could say, from Deadline, getting the exclusive. But Deadline are a very reliable source, and 99.9% of the time they get it right. So you can take this pretty accurate. Like this is happening, I think. So on that, the fact that, like you said, we knew we were sort of gonna get this. We knew Ezra was going to be in this. We knew Thrawn was going to be in this. We knew Sabine was going to be in this. We knew it was going to be that story that was left at Rebels. Do you know what I mean? And I even think as much a few months ago, there was something that came out that, because originally that was meant to be an animated show. It was going to be like the sequel to Rebels. Dave Filoni at the head and doing that. And since Disney Plus has become a thing and stuff like that, and the Ahsoka show was announced, it's effectively that story has molded itself into the Ahsoka live action story. Because Dave Filoni actually was today or yesterday came out and said that it's been a really thrilling experience for him to write this show. And he said
I saw that actually. Yeah.
And he says it's been really interesting to see how the show has evolved. So that leads me to believe that it was like an animated thing at one point, and it's now evolved into this live action thing with, I'm sure, changes to the story here and there to maybe tie it into what they're doing with The Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, and that side of Star Wars at the minute on Disney+. So very exciting for that. Natasha Liu Bordizzo as the actress now, she's, as you said, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Sword of Destiny. She is an incredibly fit person as well. Like she's efficient in sword play, taekwondo, black belt karate, and several other martial arts that she had to learn for playing her role in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. So for me, that also, boosts a lot of confidence that
she's already a Mandalorian.
She's a warrior. Do you know what I mean? A Mandalorian's a warrior, so it fills me with joy to know that this actress can handle herself in the stunts. Of course, stunt people are going to be doing the majority of that, but it's good to see that she can do it. Do you know what I mean? And then if she wants to, and if they think they can figure in a way to keep the actress in as many of the stunts as possible, excellent. So I'm really excited for this. A little caveat, though. It's just I'm a bit sad that we didn't get Tia Sacato, who voiced her originally in Rebels animated show. And I get it. Right? Look, I get it. This is just the nature of business in Hollywood and how things work. Unfortunately, there still is the stigma of, oh, you're the animated person and you're the live action person sort of thing. And I have to think of Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan as the exception and not the rule. Do you know what I mean? So I think that was like an exception. Oh, look, because Katie Sackhoff, because it's a bit different, because I think Bo-Katan was like created to fit Katie Sackhoff as the actress.
Yeah, exactly. She was created to fit, and also like it is kind of different. That if, like for example, with Ahsoka, like Ashley Eckstein, I think she's primarily a voice actress. So making that jump to like a big live action production where she's leading, I can understand them wanting to like recast there. Plus the character's a bit older, but then with the Bo-Katan.
But Tia Sacaro's a live action actress as well. She was in The Good Place.
I would have been happy to see her in. I would have loved to have seen her in. In fact, I was hoping for it. I'm not like unhappy about this casting news, but I think it is just a case of like with Katie Sackhoff, it was Katie Sackhoff. So like I think even if Bo-Katan wasn't fully modeled on it, they probably might have gone in the way of, we'll get her for the live action anyway, because she's kind of like a big like nerd goddess, essentially, at least from my journeys on the internet have told me anything. She's been in everything, so it would have made sense in that regard. But yeah, it is a shame we're not getting the OG voice actress, because it would have been really nice. Would have kept, it would have been easier as well if you're doing like an eventual like rewatch of Rebels before Ahsoka comes out. You might end up noticing difference in voices, but maybe we won't. We don't know, because we'll have to wait and see till we actually get some footage. I'll be excited to see her actually like suited and booted in the graffitied Mandalorian armor. Yeah, it's going to be
the funky hairstyles as well.
Yes, because like I loved that about her character in Rebels. The fact it's just like, we've taken this already cool Mandalorian armor and I've made it cooler by actually putting some thought into the designs on it. And the fact that it was her character as well who created the Rebel symbol.
There we go, mate. That for me, there's so much to explore with Sabine. Let's go into like a little Sabine rabbit hole here, because I think there's still so much unexplained. A lot of, as I like to say, tip of the iceberg storytelling, where they give you a little bit of story and they pull back and they go, well, we'll let the rest of the iceberg come up at some point. Do you know what I mean? And for me, it's what happened to Mandalore. Do you know, at the end? So the last we see of Mandalore is Bo-Katan has the Darksaber. Because Sabine gave it to her, says, look, I can't do this, you deserve this, sort of thing.
Horrible decision, really.
Horrible decision, as we find out in The Mandalorian. And then that's it. They're all, let's fight against the Empire, bring back Mandalore, and that's it. We don't hear. And then the next we hear of Mandalore is in The Mandalorian, where we hear from Moff Gideon, I love where he's a Night of 1,000 Tears. And I'm like, oh, what is that story? What happened there? Like,
I need to see this. What did you do to my beloved Mandalore, Moff Gideon?
That's what I mean. I think the Empire just went over there and were like, you lot are eliminated.
It's like, I know you've been pacifists for a long time, but you are still Mandalore, and I cannot abide that, so bang. That is, essentially what would have happened, because...
I want to hear more about that. I want to know what Sabine feels about that. What does she like? Because this is what I love about what they're doing with Boba Fett as well. And we're exploring more of the character. What does it feel like for him to be a Mandalorian? What does he think about being a Mandalorian? What does he think about being a clone? Same with Sabine. What does she think about being a Mandalorian? What is it like for her to be a Mandalorian now? Do you know what I mean? I want to know that sort of stuff. What's her relationship with the Darksaber now?
Yeah, I really wish she kept hold of the Darksaber, to be honest with you. Really.
Well, yeah, but
But oh well.
Yeah, and if anyone hasn't watched Rebels, I highly, if you're a Star Wars fan, watch Rebels, and especially Trials of the Darksaber. That 2-episode arc is fantastic.
Love that. Just like the duel between her and Kanan Jarrus. Just that's one of my favorite moments in the entire. I just love this. I'm gonna have to binge watch the entire show soon, aren't I? I mean, like, to be honest, there's reason enough to do it just for Lars Mikkelsen Thrawn and Tom Baker as the Bendu. Also, can we get live action Bendu? I like the Bendu.
Wow, that's a swing right there.
I know, right? There's a massive swing, but I would love if we could get a live action Bendu. Just like basically go, you know what, audiences? You've had these Star Wars stories for years. Now it's time to get weird. By the way, time doors.
It could work because it's Ahsoka.
Yep.
And really, like, in this new wave of Star Wars, in this new wave of Star Wars content, Ahsoka is pretty much the only Force-sensitive Jedi-like character we've got. Because, Mando and Boba Fett, there's no Force users there. Mando hasn't got a fucking clue.
Yeah.
Like, what's that? What's a Jedi?
Yeah. That bit is still a bit thingy for me, but whatever.
The best for me, the best thing is in the final episode of season 2, where Luke comes in, he's kicking ass, he's doing all that, and it's all epic. And he comes in, and then he finally gets to the room, and the first thing that Din says to him, "Are you a Jedi?" Bro, have you not just seen what he's done?
Well, he had to be sure. I'm
just making sure.
Yeah, just to be clear. So this is what... Okay, now I see why our people wanted to kill you.
Jedi. Because Bo-Katan instantly, when she showed, was like, a Jedi? Oh, shit. Like, and Moff Gideon was like, oh.
Oh, Moff Gideon. It was a good thing he was wearing the brown pants.
But yeah, this is exciting, this show now. I mean, when they announced that, I was already excited for it, but the fact that we're going to get live action Sabine, man, and probably live action Thrawn, which, by God, if you don't cast Lars Mikkelsen, I will cause a riot.
Yes, he will burn your house to the ground, Disney.
Exactly. I understand other actors, I get it, but come on. It's got to be Lars for Thrawn. It's got to.
He just had the perfect voice for it. Just the perfect everything. And also, again, they did kind of model Thrawn's look a bit off of Lars Mikkelsen. So, come on. But yeah,
give the people what they want.
Ahsoka aiming to start production in March of 2022. So a while until we'll actually see anything of this show, but
2023 I'm going to say.
Yeah, but once again, we'll keep you abreast of any new casting news, whether it be official or scoops. We'll just, because we all know you want this show. I want this show. I want live action Ben. This is my new Twitter campaign. Give me live action Bendu.
I stan live action Bendu.
Yes.
All right then. So that's it. That's our 3 stories for the week. So we're just going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with our main story, which is talking all things Ridley Scott. So be prepared for this one, people. Oof. We'll see you in a bit.
I think what it boils down to, where we've got today, is the audiences who are brought up on these cell phones, the millennium, do not want to ever be taught anything, except unless it's you're told it on the cell phone.
Right.
We all thought it's a terrific script, and we made it. And, you can't win all the time.
Okay, and we're back now on the show to talk things all Ridley Scott, as he's been making the rounds the last couple of weeks with plenty of new of stuff. He's talked about superhero movies, he talks about the last year's box office, and just announced, came out of nowhere, he was having an interview with BBC Radio Today, and he revealed very casually, oh yeah, there's a Blade Runner TV series in the works. Excuse me, what?
Yeah.
When was this announced? So, he announced that a Blade Runner live-action TV series is in the works. He's mentioned that the pilot has already been written, and the series would likely be about 10 hours. So I'm suggesting that's going to be about 10 episodes, I would imagine. Before we get into the other stuff, Tom, what the hell's this?
Yeah, like I really didn't. I just saw this like on my news feed, and I kind of like saw the news and just went, "Oh, cool." Scrolled past, and then kind of just went, "Wait, what?" And it took me like a while to just because how do you right? How does a piece of news like that not get out? B, how do you drop it that casually? And C, oh my god, give me this now. Because okay, so like we're going to be talking a lot about Ridley Scott in this, so there may be some things which people may view as negative comments. However, Blade Runner is iconic. It's amazing. Ridley Scott, like getting behind a 10-hour series of it. Holy fuck, yes, give me that right now. Obviously, Blade Runner 2049 was great. I have no complaints about that film. I really loved it. But
masterpiece, in my opinion. But
yeah. But come on, give me a Ridley Scott 10-hour Blade Runner story. I mean, just give me that right now. So yeah, I'm very happy about this news, but just like flabbergasted by how it was broken. I mean, how much, other than the fact that it's happening, do we have, like, is it attached to any studio? Do we know anything?
Nothing. Literally, he just casually dropped it on the interview, but no other information about it. So, yeah, man, I mean, in Blade Runner is one of my, I would say it's in, like, my top 5 films of all time. I fucking adore that film. Like, it really spoke to me. It's the philosophy behind it, the visuals, it's just the music. It's just my jam as a film. Do you know what I mean? I watch that at least once a year. Denis Villeneuve did an absolute amazing sequel with Blade Runner 2049, and sometimes I even think I prefer that one to the original. Don't shoot me, people. But I'm so excited. I love this world. I just think there's so much to explore in this world. There's so much mythology and lore you can build off. Especially if in release of Blade Runner 2049, there was 3 or 4 like short anime films that came out, which explored the time in between the original Blade Runner and 2049, which was fantastic as well. So it's adding extra depth, like what happened. These are all the corporations. The Tyrell Corporation collapsed and it was taken over by the guy Jared Leto was playing or whatever. So yeah, it's super interesting. And if you're telling me that I get to spend 10 hours in this world, I'm all for it, man. The only thing is, though, I don't want necessarily Ridley Scott to be behind all of it. I'm fine if he wants to direct the pilot episode and if he had a hand in writing the pilot episode and if he's serving as like an executive producer. Personally, I don't want him there day to day. I would prefer more of an approach like Raised by Wolves, which was released last year, I think, or last year. What is time anymore?
I know, right?
But yeah, it's a recent show on HBO Max, which I thought was fantastic as well. I love that show. But the first 2 episodes were directed by Ridley Scott, and he's an executive producer. But there is another guy who is the showrunner. He is the main showrunner. I think it's just quite handy to have Ridley Scott there to help you out and, have that legacy, have that experience. He is a sci-fi genius. He's done a lot of fantastic stuff in the sci-fi world, so why wouldn't you have him there? So I hope they approach it in that direction for Blade Runner. But other than that, I'm very excited. Just give me this show now.
Yes.
And the other one, he also provided some more details about the Alien TV show, which this I did know about because they announced this last year at the Disney Investor Day special, which I was like, holy shit. And then they announced that Noah Hawley is the showrunner, and I was like, holy shit. So very excited for this. So in an interview with Vanity Fair, Noah Hawley was actually saying that it's a story that's set on Earth. The alien stories are always trapped in a prison, trapped in a spaceship. I thought it would be interesting to open it up a little bit so that the stakes of what happens if you can't contain it are more immediate. Damn. I want to see this story right now. I'm a huge Noah Hawley fan. I love Legion, Fargo, 2 of my favorite shows. But yeah, give me this show now. But you're definitely a fan of Alien, I assume.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I know you love Noah Hawley just like me. So.
Oh, yeah. I'm still burnt by the fact that we'll probably never get to see his Doctor Doom film.
I know. I know.
I hurt myself like that again. I keep doing it, but just like it just makes me so sad.
Yeah, because it was part of the Fox thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, and just I think initially Disney were thinking of picking it up, but obviously like they haven't now. And whatever, I'm still bitter about it, but happy to see him. Like, especially hearing his plan for the Alien show, like that does actually sound amazing. And I do agree that like the thing with Alien is a lot of the time it is just like you know, trapped, confined space, trying to get away from this thing. Even the game Alien Isolation, I think that's the right one.
I mean, it's in the name.
Yeah, a great, fantastic game, builds up the tension really well, but it is like the similar thing of you just on this like small, I'm sure it's a spaceship or a mining station or something, and it's just escaping from Alien. So yeah, I just love that idea of like he thought it would be interesting to open it up a little bit. So the stakes are of what happens if you can't contain it are more immediate. Yes, because again, that's always been a thing of the Alien film is what if this thing gets out? No, show me what happens when it gets out. I want to see let there be carnage in a way that Let There Be Carnage didn't give us. This is their opportunity now to give us the symbiote film we deserved. And hell, if they want to end up tying it in with Predator down the line and just give us a huge like,
or what that Prey prequel Predator thing? That one?
Yeah, which I'm still not a fan of the name because I feel like it's literally just like they just went, oh my god, we need to make a new thing for Predator, and someone just went, praise the opposite of Predator. Got it, love it. I actually like the working title Skulls a lot better.
Right.
I thought that sounded a lot cooler because like imagine the marketing you could do for that. Of just like marketing this thing called Skulls, but you don't tell people it's a Predator film. Anyway, we're going off topic here.
Back to Alien.
I'm definitely excited by this show. I just want to hear more news about it. I want to see more of it. And I think this is definitely like the thing I've been wanting from Alien for a while. Because like it's one of those franchises I do love, but I feel let down by a lot of the time. So I'm hoping that this will just be that prime Alien content and give me some fucking carnage.
Same. I like, because the first Alien film, well, the first two Alien films, love them, absolutely love them. Some of the best films, some of my favorite films ever. And then it just gets a bit weird after that. I appreciate Ridley Scott's return when he came to do Prometheus and Alien Covenant. I have issues with those films, but they're still, in my opinion, better than Aliens 3 and 4.
We don't talk about those.
We don't talk about those. Even David Fincher doesn't talk about Alien 3. So yeah, I'd appreciate, but at the same time, I'm like, is this franchise dead now? Like, it just seems like they haven't had a huge hit since Aliens back in 86, I think it was, with James Cameron. So I'm just like, what's going to happen with this franchise? So this gives me hope, because it's Noah Hawley who took Legion, did something completely different with it, took the famous cult movie Fargo, did something completely different with it, and now he's doing the same for Alien. So that's why I've got uttermost faith in that. But again, Ridley Scott, calm down, mate. Like, just oversee it, be involved. Maybe don't get into the day-to-day nitty-gritty of it. That's just me.
Yeah, just let Noah Hawley do his thing. You can trust him, Ridley.
Trust him. And
he's not on his phone all the time.
So let's get into it. Oh, because, all right, we got all the positive stuff out the way. Let's get into maybe the more negative stuff. So Ridley Scott, as I said, he's been on a rampage this week, blurting out all his opinions, and he doesn't give a fuck what people think about it. So we got two things. First, it's the classic one. It's the asking an acclaimed old school filmmaker, hey, what do you think of superhero films? I'm going to say up front, though, that was not the case in this. Ridley Scott brought it up by himself. He's like, I have something to say about these superhero films. And what he has to say, he's not mincing words here. He says, they're fucking boring as shit. Their scripts are not any fucking good. I think I've done 3 great scripted superhero movies. One would be Alien with Sigourney Weaver. One would be Gladiator, and one would be Blade Runner. those are not superhero films, Ridley, but whatever. So why don't the superhero movies have better stories? They're mostly saved by special effects, and that's becoming boring for everyone who works with special effects if you've got the money. Oh, my God. Right. So, as we've said on the show plenty of times before, I'm so sick of hearing this narrative of, an old school filmmaker saying their piece on superhero movies. I'm just a bit like, yeah, sure, it's not for you. There's no need to trash them, though. This is another level, though. I think Ridley was just like, fuck these films. Like, and I'm sorry. I totally disagree with you, Mr. Scott. I think these films, not all of them, granted. I think a lot of them are fantastic. I think a lot of the scripts are tight. They get to emotion. They do drama. And they are not saved by special effects. In fact, if you look at most critiques, they always say, well, why is the third act ruins it with all the big special effects? Do you know what I mean? So, like, you can't have both. That's what I mean. It's like, most comic book films, especially MCU films, all the critics will say, yeah, the first two acts were great. It's a lot of drama, great nuance, great characters, and then they ruin it with a big CGI fight at the end. So the fact that Ridley Scott is saying that, oh, the CGI saves these movies, no, it doesn't, bro. If anything, it probably hinders them a bit, but that's what superhero movies are. Tom, before we get into the last duel and the phone stuff, is he being another old man yelling at Cloud?
I think just due to the fact that, like, it was almost unprompted. Yeah, it definitely, like, if it had been a case of, like, he'd been asked this question a lot and he finally broke down, then I would have probably just been like, you know what, he probably just is sick of this shit. But the fact that he was just, like, essentially just like, oh, here's my 2 cents. And I just don't, I feel like there's no need for it. Like, first of all, as you said, okay, like, I'm sure an argument could be made that you could frame Alien, Gladiator, and Blade Runner as superhero films in a very technical, semantical way. But the truth is they're not. They're their own thing.
Yeah,
really.
Also, I think he's really misunderstood the character of Deckard if he thinks Blade Runner's a superhero.
Yeah, which is also concerning. Like, you know what? I'll agree that Sigourney Weaver in Alien is a fucking superhero. You know, I'm not going to deny that. Hell, Russell Crowe in Gladiator again. Okay, sure, yeah, whatever. But the fact is, it's just like, as you said, there have been some very fantastic superhero. Does he forget about the Dark Knight films, for example? Has he not seen Shang-Chi this year? He probably hasn't seen Shang-Chi, if I'm being honest with you.
Has he seen Black Panther?
Again, yeah, probably. Like, and this is what I get with a lot of these directors, is that I have to wonder how many of the films have they actually watched. Like, because, if they had just seen, I don't know, Thor: The Dark World and, I don't know, the first Ant-Man film and the first Suicide Squad film, then yeah, I could forgive them for maybe like just thinking like, oh, superhero films are trash. But then if you're giving that opinion without giving the rest of it a go, then... And then, as you said, just the whole, like, they're mostly saved by special effects. Now, I usually dislike the criticism of third acts being like a CGI fest because, like, a lot of the times I'm just like, well, no, because I want to see the characters use their powers to the fullest potential. That's the entire point of characters like Doctor Strange, or like, you want to see, or you need the CGI for that. Like, I'm sorry, like, Doctor Strange film did it perfectly. It had a fucking ton of CGI in the final third act, but ultimately he won through a non-violent solution. So again, it's proving that, like, it's not always the case these movies are saved by special effects. Sometimes they are saved by genuinely good fucking writing and good directing.
Shang-Chi, anybody?
Yeah, Shang-Chi is one of the finest directed Marvel films, if not the finest directed Marvel film. You got to look at some of the fight scenes in like the Joe Russo film. In fact, look at Winter Soldier as a film. How can you I don't get how you can watch that film.
You're going to tell me that the relationship between Steve and Bucky is not engaging and compelling? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, just like, I feel like you could go into something like Winter Soldier, having never seen like any superhero film, without being a fan of the concept of superheroes, and you'd still find yourself having a good time with it. Like, sure, like that person would be like, oh, why is this guy super strong? And you just go, oh, he's government. He essentially works for his, super spy organization. He's their like go-to man. And then they just go, oh, I can accept this. And then they enjoy the film for what it is. So yeah, it's just, again, I'm hating all this. Like, I don't know why people feel they have to tear down the superhero movies in order to build themselves up. Like, if you don't like these superhero movies, why don't you fucking make one yourself? And show us like what you think should be done with them. It was like when what was her name again? Is it Jane Champion? She came out recently and was also saying like I would never do a superhero film because this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, well, that's fair enough, but then like don't complain about them. Maybe if you think that they're not to your liking or you think they could be better, then go in and do something. I mean, that's what Chloe Zhao essentially did. She went in with a pitch and was just like, I want to make this superhero film. Sure, some people might argue it didn't work out, but she took that risk and tried to show people what could be done with superhero movies. So Ridley Scott, if you're really hating these superhero movies so much, why don't you do something about it then? Rather than just sit there and just tell other people that their work is shit.
It's also incredibly disrespectful to all the people that worked on those films.
Yeah, and not just like
which you
cast.
Probably worked with before, like on crews and stuff like that. So
I mean, hell, imagine like the VFX people hearing these comments, just being like, well, we can't fucking win. It's like we work all these fucking hours putting our hearts and souls into making these movies as big a spectacle as possible, and then no matter what we do, people are shitting on us. Like Ridley Scott is shitting on us now. Like, I just don't think it's cool. I don't think it's cool.
It's not. And also, like, there's something to be said if, like, Martin Scorsese, as he has done before, comes out and says, yeah, they're all like theme parks. Look, Martin Scorsese, you can say whatever the fuck you want. You're an absolute legend. You've got more hits than losses for sure. You know what I mean? This guy is an absolute filmmaking legend. Ridley Scott is also, but when you actually look at his filmography, hey man, you've had quite a lot of stinkers yourself with poor scripts and dodgy CGI. So don't give me that shit. You're not this acclaimed filmmaker. Oh, every single film's an absolute hit. You're not. Do you know what I mean? You had a lot of blunders as well. So, I'm just saying that.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. There's a fair point. And again, I think like with Scorsese's point where he was just like, they're like theme parks, even though I didn't fully agree with it, at the same time, it was like, he does make a valid point though.
I can understand his point, yeah.
Whereas Ridley Scott is just coming out and saying, he's basically just tearing them apart completely. Like these, like, again, if you are not happy with the concept of superheroes taking over the box office, if you're not happy with like companies like Disney pushing out this content, make your arguments about that. Don't actually call the content itself shit, because then you are shitting on everyone who has worked on it, from the main actors right down to the fucking key grips. Like, you're just basically shitting on them. And I just don't think that's cool coming from a director who's meant to be like working with these people.
No, definitely not. And you know what? He didn't stop there. No. Because they were also talking to him about his latest film, The Last Duel, and its box office performance, where it didn't do well at all. It was quite a big bomb. And this is what he has to say about that. Quote, I think what it boils down to, what we've got today, are the audiences who were brought up on these fucking cell phones. The millennium do not ever want to be taught anything unless you're told on a cell phone. This is a broad stroke, but I think we're dealing with it right now with Facebook. This is a misdirection that has happened where it's given the wrong kind of confidence to this latest generation, I think. I mean, yeah, you think, and I think you're completely wrong over here, but look, The Last Duel is a film about a woman who got raped and then nobody believes her. Okay? It is a tough subject to go into a film like that. On the best of days, it's going to be hard to get an audience in for that film. It looks epic. It's got a wonderful cast, but the subject matter is very sensitive. And I can see that not being, well, it's not for everybody, that type of film. Also, you're releasing it in October, alongside a new Halloween film in October. You've also releasing it after No Time to Die has come out, which is now the biggest film biggest grossing film this year. Also releasing it alongside Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, another big successful film, and also Dune, you know, that little independent film called Dune. So, fuck off that you're complaining about what's he called them? What was he called us?
Millennials.
Millennials instead of millennials, saying it's all because of cell phones, of mobile phones. Get the fuck, I'm sorry, but get the fuck out of here with that shit. Like, I'm a millennial. I turn up to the cinema every week, you know, and I am one of the few people left in the world that actually switches my phone off during a cinema. Not put it in silent, I switch that thing off. So it's not millennials, it's not cell phones, it's you being grumpy your film didn't perform because it was being performed alongside all these huge blockbusters that people are far more interested in seeing than a film about rape. I know it's more than about rape. It's about the last duel ever recorded, but that is the core of where that story stems from. So I don't know, man. This is huge old man yelling at cloud vibes here. He just seems like he's thrown his toys out the pram and he's like, rah, rah, it's all because of this and all because of that. Rah, rah, rah. And it's like, I don't think you actually know what's going on here. But Tom, what do you make of his comments about millennials and cell phones?
Yeah, I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If it wasn't for Twitter, I wouldn't have actually had a clue that this film was A, coming out, or B, what it was about at all. Like genuinely, I don't think I saw it marketed anywhere else, and I don't even think like I saw promoted like trailers for it. It was just people on Twitter talking about the movie and like saying they were excited it was coming out. So that was the only reason it was on my radar. So, you know, maybe if the movie was advertised better, maybe would have done more. Again, as you said, it just came out in a stacked month of just like huge films. Like, say what you want about Venom 2, it was a big successful movie, made a lot of money, and it was very highly anticipated. So it was always going to be the focus of a lot of people's attention. Then you had No Time to Die, as you said, highest grossing film of the year. You had Dune come out, which was probably the most anticipated film of the year.
One of, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see how he can be surprised. And the fact that he's trying to attribute it all to millennials, that rubs me the wrong way, because he's ignoring every other factor, which has definitely been way more of a factor than some people can't get off their phones. And B, it just seems like he's kind of trying to play to a certain crowd who will hear him bitch about millennials and will just take that as gospel. They won't consider all the other reasons why his film might not have been a success. They will just go, millennials hate it, therefore Ridley Scott is right. And maybe that's his like last hope of trying to get like some people to finally see this movie. Also, like I feel like I couldn't see it anywhere in any like local cinemas. I swear, like I was actually looking out for the movie. Where the fuck was it?
It pretty much came and went. Like, because I had the same thing, because I was like, oh, okay, I could go see this or I could go see this, and I was like, oh, I'll go see whatever. I think it was Venom 2, because for the podcast, I was like, I have to watch this for the podcast instead of The Last Duel. And then I was like, well, a couple of weeks later, I was like, okay, I've got some free time. I'll go see The Last Duel now. Couldn't find it anywhere. It had basically come and gone in a matter of weeks. And I think it's actually coming to Disney Plus to stream from December 1st. That was another one of the Disney Plus Day announcements. So that was a very quick transition. So, and here it is on streaming.
So because the thing is that there's been some things said about these films that were kind of being made prior to, like, you know, the Disney Fox merger, and like I think like some of the Searchlight Pictures films. There's been a lot said about Disney burying certain projects coming out because it's too late to cancel them, too late to do anything about them, but they don't want to. I don't know what it is. I mean, this could just be tinfoil hat theories, but I feel like there was a lot behind it, considering like some of the stuff behind the French Dispatch. I feel like that got a limited release compared to what it should have probably gotten. But like, even saying that, again, that is again not the fault of millennials. Like, if that is actually the case, that Disney's trying to like bury these films, get them just like out of the way quickly and just chuck them on Disney Plus so they've got some more content on there, but they don't have to worry about box office shit, then that is actually something very serious that we need to talk about and look at. But again, it's not the fault of millennials. And just every time I hear people complain about millennials, it does just strike me as they are trying to play to a certain crowd who will just jump on this side as soon as they start hating on millennials. That crowd does exist, and they are very vocal.
They are. Yeah. And also, it's not just Ridley Scott, it's just a wider issue in society where this stigma of millennials is like we are millennials, right? And I think it gets misinterpreted, millennials from Gen Z, which is the latest generation, which in some respects, yes, that generation is very attached to mobile phones and smart technology. But millennials, our generation, I think anyway, we have that fine balance of analog and digital. We were like at that point within the 90s going into the 2000s where the technology boomed, but at the same time we still had, we still played with toys and went outside and stuff like that. So there's a lot of misinterpretation there, which I'm kind of fed up with. People go, oh, it's millennials. I'm like, hey, man, millennials are adults. We're not kids. Like, we're working professionals, you know what I mean? So stop saying that.
Yeah, no, I'm in complete agreement as well. It's like I said, it just always rubs me up the wrong way because quite often it's just like, just complete fabrications that come, and it just becomes like a punchline of just like what industry of millennials killed next? Oh, the peanut industry. Apparently millennials are not eating enough peanuts, and now peanut workers are going out of jobs, and apparently that's negative.
The peanut community has gone woke.
Yeah, they've gone woke, and now they've gone broke. But yeah, just like, and as well with Ridley Scott's comments, so the second half where he was basically saying, this is a broad stroke, but I think we're dealing with it right now with Facebook. There is a misdirection that has happened where it's given the wrong kind of confidence to this latest generation. I think, what the fuck is he talking about there? That just seems like pure ramblings, and he's just like thrown words together. And sure, there might be a point there, but I don't actually see how it relates to his previous point. So he's saying that like, millennials don't want to go to these films and see these films because they're constantly on their cell phones. But by being on their cell phones, it's made them more confident. And that is why they're not going to see the movies. Is that like, that seems to be what he's saying. And it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Yeah, I don't know what's happened to him, man. I don't know. I think he's just had a rough week. Maybe he hadn't slept in a while.
Yeah, he's had a rough one.
And he's just like come into like the press junkets this week, just like, oh, I haven't even had my coffee. And yeah, I don't know.
There's also, I think, something to be said about, you know what, Ridley? There used to be box office flops before mobile phones were a thing as well.
Yeah. So many.
So I'm not really too sure what is going on there, but we'll see. We might be back next week to talk about more Ridley Scott because he seems to be on a rampage. Like every week there's something new. Last week I was like, let's avoid the Ridley Scott stuff, but I was like, I can't this week. We've got to talk about it.
Yeah. So, it is one of those things you just get the feeling that it's not quite done yet.
You're like, yes, I know. And I get the feeling there's more to this story as well. Because you have to remember, he's got his new film coming out, House of Gucci.
Yes.
So there's going to be a lot more press for that film as we go along. So we'll be here on Capes, Cowls Masks, keeping you updated with all of Ridley Scott's grumpiness.
Yay!
Yeah. So that's it. That's the news then. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back right away in a flash with our pull list.
Well, after X-Men hit at the box office, all the studios started buying up every comic property they could get their dirty little hands on.
So that was a lovely segue by Jake there because, yes, it's the weekly pull list is back. We couldn't do it last week because someone kept talking. We won't mention who, but yeah, we're kicking it off now this week with The Flash, issue 776. Now, this has been a very hyped up issue. I'm definitely going to be picking this up as soon as I can. So just to give you a brief thing, so Dr. Fate has arrived to whisk the Flash away to the in-between, a two-dimensional causeway filled with demonic forces. And it's going to be left up to you, the reader, to help the Scarlet Speedster make his way through this dangerous dimension. So I mean, this just sounds so cool. I loved it when Doctor Strange and the Sorcerer Supreme did a choose your own adventure issue. I don't know whether this issue of The Flash is going to be in the same vein, but the idea of them putting the fate of the Flash in your hands, really liking that. The cover art as well looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, you should pick it up just on the basis of that. You've got the Flash there, and it appears like Dr. Fate is coming up and he's pulling the cover away to reveal himself. So just... This is a cheap thing to say, but very Morrison vibes there. I appreciate that. So that's from writer Jeremy Adams and artist Fernando Passarin. Very, very excited for this issue. Staying with DC then, we've got, I think it's the final issue of Wonder Woman Black and Gold. Now, I feel like I haven't brought up this series anywhere near as much as I should have. It's just been an absolutely outstanding series. The artwork in it has been just it's worth it for the artwork alone. So we're seeing the culmination of this. It's featuring our hero saving a life that will in turn save thousands. It'll feature a superhero climate crisis, a body swap with one of her greatest villains, and more. But genuinely pick up this book, pick up issues 1 through 5 as well, because, you know, I think you'll be fans of the story. It's been a very strong series of stories, but also just for the artwork, it's something that I think you want to pick up just because it'll look good on your wall. Going on over to Marvel then, we've got 2 issue 1s. Which one do I pick first? So if we do, let's do Hulk. Hulk issue 1 coming out. So obviously we've seen the end of Immortal Hulk and Al Ewing's run on that, and I was very sad to see the end of it, but also Immortal Hulk was just sensational from beginning to end. I was a little bit cautious about Kate's taking over. Nothing to do with Kate's. I love Kate's, but just following on Al Ewing. What are you going to do with that? But it does actually look like Cates has come up with some ideas to make this a really interesting run and to really just still honor the legacy of the Hulk and not undo anything that Al Ewing did. But basically, I don't want to say it's like World War Hulk 2, but it's looking like the Hulk is kind of getting to a stage where even the Avengers are like, I don't know how we handle the Hulk anymore. So if you want to see Donny Cates and Ryan Ottley tackle that question in this new era of the Hulk, definitely pick that up. So that's issue 1, first of a 6-part arc called Mad Scientist. So yeah, definitely pick that up. Staying with Marvel then, we've got, this has been highly anticipated. It's Black Panther issue 1, written by John Ridley. I mean, that should be enough to sell you. You've also got cover art by Alex Ross. I mean, that sells itself right there. It's a new era for T'Challa, a new creative team. So secrets from T'Challa's past have come back to haunt him. Fresh from returning from his travels in space, Black Panther receives an unexpected and urgent message from a Wakandan secret agent. So if you want to find out what that is and see what John Ridley is going to do with the character, pick this up, because John Ridley is one of the best people in comics right now, to be honest. I loved his other side of DC Universe, and I am looking forward to seeing this. Hopping over then to Image Comics for my non-Marvel DC pick of the week. It's Radiant Black issue 10. Now, this was a series that initially kind of just slipped under the radar for me, but I've kind of been getting into it and have been very, very interested in where this is going. It's just like pure sci-fi awesomeness. And in this issue, well, the synopsis tells us, welcome to existence, an unimaginable infinity beyond space and time. Marshall is trapped there, but how and why? Can he make it out? And what is the catalyst? Well, if you want to find out what the catalyst is, be sure to pick up Kyle Higgins and Marcelo Costa's series. So that's from Image Comics, Radiant Black. So let's just go through all those again. We've got Radiant Black issue 10 from Image Comics. At DC, we've got The Flash issue 776. Some form of choose your own adventure stuff. I don't know, but I'm excited for it. We got Wonder Woman Black and Gold issue 6, just tying up what has been an incredible series to both look at and read. And then at Marvel, we've got Hulk issue 1 with the new team of Cates and Otley on there, starting their new mammoth run off the back of Immortal Hulk. And then John Ridley finally coming over to do a Black Marvel comic with some cover art from Alex Ross and interior art by Juan Cabal. So definitely going to be a good series to pick up. And then for my classic pull, seeing as we've got John Ridley coming to T'Challa, why not brace yourself on that story by reading all of Ta-Nehisi Coates' run on the character. From his first arc, where we see changes come to Wakandan politics, to his second arc, where we've got the intergalactic empire of Wakanda. Even though it's a very recent run, I'm definitely happy to call it a classic already because it is just the seminal Black Panther run, and it's definitely my favorite run. And it'll probably tie into a lot that'll happen in John Ridley's run, so definitely pick that up either before or after reading this. So there we go. That's my poll list. Jake, what do you think? Anything grab your eye? Anything you want to add in?
There's a lot of things that grabbed my eye this week. Starting with your classic pull, I can't recommend Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Panther enough to people. Like, it is phenomenal what he did with the character and reimagined the character in a way I didn't know I wanted. It's absolutely incredible. And if it's going to lead into this with John Ridley, I'm really excited for this. Very much like you with Al Ewing. Can he, even reach a little bit of what Ta-Nehisi Coates do? But again, that's unfair on John Ridley. Two very different writers. I'm excited to see what he does with Black Panther. And the same goes for Hulk as well. I haven't read throughout the entire series, but since you have said that it is one of the finest comics of the 21st century, I have been picking up some back issues and reading through that. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to go as far as saying as it's what you're saying, but it's fucking amazing. It is so fucking good. So, and Donny Cates coming on to do Hulk now. Interesting. It's interesting. I think that because
what's also interesting is that Al Ewing has gone on to Venom.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's
whoa.
so weird. I can see that more though. I can see Al Ewing playing with Venom more than I can with Cates playing with Hulk. But it's still so interesting. And Ryan Otley, I mean, come on,
his art is
fantastic. I love his stuff on Spider-Man. It's so good. And then going to DC, look, I haven't picked up Flash comics in years. It's been absolutely years since I've picked up a Flash comic. This might get me back into it because this is so intriguing to choose your own adventure. How does it work though? Like, how did it work in the Doctor Strange one?
So in the Doctor Strange one, it was sort of just like, trying to remember it now. It was like you had sort of different trails to go off, and it would just be a case of like at the end of like a page, it would just be like, right, so you decide what the Sorcerer Supreme, like it was usually a case of like, which direction does the Sorcerer Supreme go? Is he going to go through this door? Is he going to go through that door? Or is he going to stay here and try and fight off this beast? And then it would tell you, if you chose this option, turn to this page. And then you go to that page. And then it'll either continue it on, or it'll be a case of, yeah, he dead. You killed him.
You died. Start again.
Yeah, you died. Start all over again.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting.
It was
fun.
really well done as well, I thought. So I think for a Flash comic, that could be, like I said, I don't know if they're doing it in the same vein, but I can't imagine many other ways they can put the fate of the Flash in the reader's hands than by making it choose your own adventure. But we'll have to wait and see, because Dr. Fate and Flash teaming up, it's going to get weird.
It's always weird when those two team up. And as for something to add, you know what? We talked about Blade earlier on today. Have you ever thought about what if Batman fought vampires? So I'm going to pull Batman versus Vampires issue number 2, which comes out this week. I mean, it's in the name, people. It's actually, no, sorry, it's not Batman versus, it's DC versus vampires. But you've got Batman there on the front cover with a huge axe ready to take out these vampires. So if you want to see what Batman would do against vampires, pick this up. It's only on issue 2, so you can easily find issue 1 out there. So that's going to be my pull of the week.
Yes, nice. I've definitely seen a lot of buzz surrounding that series. So seen a lot of the variant covers as well. Posing
Matthew Rosenberg is
yes,
writing it. So.
Yes, Rosenberg. I do like Matthew Rosenberg. He's one of those writers though that sometimes polarizes me. But he also like acknowledged my existence on Twitter, so I love him.
You stan him.
I stan Matthew Rosenberg.
Is that what the kids say these days?
Yes, although I don't like that phrase because like of where it comes from. Because they go like, "Oh, yeah, it's because you're such a big fan. You like Stan from that Eminem song." And it's like, did you listen to the song? You shouldn't aspire to be that level of a fan.
That was a dark ending for Stan.
It was a very dark ending for Stan and his wife.
Yeah, and the child as well.
The child. Come on.
So you should not aspire to be like Stan.
Yes, you should aspire to be. I'm trying.
More like us.
Yes, be a Jake.
Be a Tom.
Yeah, maybe not a Dave.
Depends how much you like to talk.
He's going to hate this episode.
I know. Right, so that's the end of the show, people. That's all the news that we've got for you, and that is all the comics to pick up in your local comic book shop this week. And we thank you once again for listening to this episode and coming on board every week, listening to us speculate, discuss, and geek out. But if you want to continue the conversation, Tom, where can they do that?
Oh, they can find me on Twitter at Comic Book Shogun, where I've been very chatty recently, talking about all things from superhero stuff to Doctor Who Flux to The Wire to whatever video games I'm playing. So yeah, just feel free to chuck me a follow and maybe start a discussion with me or an argument or whatever, really. Just tell me about your day. I don't mind, just pop in, just be like, I had a bit of a rough day, and I'll be like, I'll recommend you a comic to get you through the day. That'll be my new thing. And also, don't forget to tweet out #BringBackTheBendu. And then if that campaign is more successful, I will be relaunching the Capwolf campaign, because there's still time. We have What If now. If What If Season 2 doesn't give us What If Captain America was a werewolf, I will be forever pissed off.
I think we could get it. Tom.
We could.
I think we can do it.
And keep nagging. I'll manifest it.
Well, you can find me on Twitter retweeting all your petitions to get all these things made. And you can find and follow me on Twitter at SweatyJake, where I'm also just talking about all the geeky stuff coming out, primarily focused on Matrix Resurrections at the minute, and just sharing and retweeting all those wonderful, beautiful posters. I mean, the marketing team behind that film knows the assignment. And you can also find me on Letterboxd at Jake Hart, where you can see all my ratings and reviews of all the films I've been watching. And as for the show, you can also find and follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Cowls Masks. And whether you use Anchor, Spotify, Google, or Apple Podcasts, subscribe and follow us on there. And if you're on Apple, leave us a rating and a review, as it all helps us go up in the rankings. And if you leave us a good enough review, we might read it out on the show for you. So, thank you for listening. We'll see you all next week. From myself, from Tom, from Ridley Scott's Angry Rants on the Internet. Bye-bye.